today. For the participants, if you have any questions, please use the chat to ask your questions, and we'll try to answer them. So thank you very much. Also another interesting and ambitious set of projects. One question that I had when I saw the results is that I've seen that to some extent, at least 3 out of the 4 projects in Stream D, and I think some of the projects in Stream D, and some of the projects in Stream C, they focus on media XR and security and safety. Was there a specific reason for this? We can start, Christoph, from FIDAL. You focus exactly on these 2 topics.
Okay. Well, media, it's an interesting vertical. I don't know if it's a vertical because the technologies of media, they are used everywhere. Is it e-health, smart city? Okay. So it is an interesting thing. And, you know, it's a demanding technology. In bandwidth, in latency, it brings some challenges towards the network. PPDR now brings its own challenges. We need to move outdoor, most of the times. But also, it has challenges indoor positioning, you know, moving, coverage, you need service continuity. There is mobility involved. These are quite challenges. In fact, it was, I remember it was difficult to form the proposal to find the correct pieces in order to have this. So I believe these 2 things, I don't call them vertical, I call them domains. You know, vertical is a little bit a silo word. They are quite challenging for this reason. You can find pieces of these technologies everywhere. I don't know. That's my 2 cents.
That's a good point. Sylvia?
There are 2 main reasons on the decision to have PPDR and media XR. As first, both can be considered as compelling 6G applications that can be used to categorize the most important 6G requirements. For instance, latency, bandwidth for media XR, and reliability for PPDR. Then the second reason is that PPDR and media XR have for sure societal values that meet our vision to have a socially responsible network deployment.
Okay, thanks very much. David, your take on this?
Well, basically, similar answers from my side. In Imagine Beyond 5G, we have a couple of immersive laboratories, and well, the project will focus initially on 5G advanced technologies, but in terms of applications, these beyond 5G applications, immersive media in general, XR, whatever you want to call it, it's definitely one of the main use cases or for 6G, right? And in our project, we plan to do some holographic communications and from the application point of view, and then we will deliver them via advanced 5G networks. So that's our approach. And regarding PPDR, well, in our case, we have we are leveraging some previous projects, and in particular FATCH 5G, where we have been collaborating with the Norwegian Defense in Norway, and the pilots have been extremely successful, and they have been recognized by NATO as the most advanced 5G pilots for defense. And then it was kind of for us a natural decision to continue keeping or pushing further the technology in terms of PPDR, and we seek for another use cases that could fit into this vertical too.
Thank you. And Janina, I'm not sure if your project is focusing on these areas, or you have selected other KPIs and KVIs to. You're muted, I cannot hear you.
In Target X, we aim to kind of really take the industry with us and take the KPIs and KPIs that also come from them and kind of spread the use of 5G and 6G then to those verticals more. So that's why we focus more on the other verticals.
Yeah, indeed. And it would be nice to see at the end, I think you were mentioning this about the commonalities and the difference between the verticals in terms of requirements and what is needed in terms of functionality. My next question would be the following. In your open calls, do you target mainly the inclusion of SMEs in your activities or large players from industrial players, for example, from these areas? And I'm saying this because the large-scale trials, the StreamD projects, are a very good opportunity to create the business ecosystem. So are you trying to find a balance? Are you trying to focus mainly on one group rather than another? David, let's start with you this time.
In our case, in Imagine Beyond 5G, we have the goal of allocating 50% of the budget for cascade funding to SMEs, scale-ups, and startups. So it's like a goal for ourselves, and we will have to, whenever we do the evaluation, we'll take this into account, and it's in our grant agreement and so on. But of course, so we'll try to give priority, and especially for these potential new applications that might come. So we'll make available these tools, facilities, immersive laboratories, and there we definitely will give priority to SMEs and small companies.
Thank you. Silvia?
The main objective goal is to bring value to the project. Therefore, we want to include the key actors in order to stress that the trials that we have defined, to have additional trials, and also we do not exclude to have other platforms, because the ultimate goal is to maximize the impact of the project. So the best receiver should be SMEs, but we do not exclude verticals, we do not exclude other key players.
Thank you. And Janina?
Yeah, for us, we also focus on SME startups and scale-up. So that's kind of already a very wide range of companies that we would invite. And of course, the test platforms can also, outside of the open calls, can also be used in bilateral agreements and are available throughout the project. So. But for the open calls, we are focusing on the SMEs, startups, and scale-ups.
Okay, that sounds nice. And Christoph?
Well, in FIDAL, mainly we are open to everyone. Okay, I think the criteria here, as others said, it's innovation, and to our understanding, to bring, some results that they would like to exploit further the capabilities of the system. For us, this is important. SMEs and industry are welcome, are most than welcome. In my previous experience, it's very difficult to involve them for different reasons. And of course, we will try to maximize the impact through all of our channels. But for me, it will be really nice to bring the innovation and see how they will exploit the new capabilities.
I fully agree with you. Although a lot of work has been done in the past for engaging the verticals, actually 5G was about engaging the verticals and creating new business cases, etc. In just my personal opinion, there is still some room for work for a better understanding between the verticals and the telecom solution providers. There is a mismatch in the expectations and the understanding of what is possible and how these technologies can be used to address their issues. Okay, so To my understanding, Janina, your platform will be open not only through the open calls, but in principle for anybody that would be interested to use it during the duration of the project. Is my understanding correct?
Yeah, of course, there need to be some bilateral agreements.
Yes, of course. And the same applies for the other projects, or do you plan to have a specific support only for the open calls? David?
Well, we have money to spend in the open call. So if someone can, in our project, in Imagine Beyond 5G, we have what we call vertical stakeholders, that they come to the project and they don't receive funding, if that's what you mean. So we are actually engaging with some verticals that they say, okay, I'm interested. I would like to perform some pilot or trial. I would like to test these features of advanced features of 5G, and we will need someone to develop a given application or to provide some specific feature. I don't know. So we are actually engaging with people, but it's only vertical stakeholders that they do not participate in the open calls. But if someone wants to come to do a pilot in Imagine Beyond 5G, I'll say, go to the open calls. There is funding there for you. So there is, I'm open to collaborate with partners outside the projects, and we will do that once the SNS collaboration agreement is signed. But that will be like, I expect some cross-project collaboration, probably because there is a partner in 2 projects, things like that. Yeah, but well, let's see.
Sylvia?
We have different scenarios according to the different clusters. Some are based on the commercial networks and others are using experimental networks that we have to build on. And these are the basis for the use cases of the project. And this will allow already to meet the objective of the project. Then we open this platform to new additions through the open call that can be the extension of the platform itself or the involvement to perform other use cases application.
Thanks. And Christo?
Well, about openness, I have seen it in a previous project. We usually do this, usually in the end of the project, because in the early stages, no one will do it because there is funding. Of course, we will be open. I cannot say no. Pavlos is here. I mean, we are building something that is near to production, okay? Open tools, open platforms. Sometimes, to my understanding, why to differentiate between experimental thing and the production thing? It's there, it works, but there is a problem here. Testbeds are not free; they cost money in operations. So we need to be careful. We open our platforms, but then we need to carefully examine if we can host them and perform the experiments. Okay, and I also agree with a previous comment from the previous session from Ari. Many of them need to travel here, because they bring equipment, they bring things, they need to physically be on the testbed because, you know, they need to move outdoor. So this has a significant cost. Okay.
That's a very fair point. The projects are very, very ambitious. That's for sure, and they require the engagement of too many stakeholders. In your opinion, what is the most significant challenge you have to face, and how do you plan to address it? Christo, let's resume with you and then move to the other speakers.
Yes. Okay. At least in Fidel, one of the challenges that we have is that we try to move away from the lab. Okay, we move outdoors. We go to a stadium. So we planned early for these trials. Okay, how we will go to this new location, how to do things. So this involves a lot of planning. So a challenge here also is not only the planning of this thing, it's how we will go and perform experiments there, but also together with an operator, how we will do spectrum sharing, how we will do traffic steering, you know, move this traffic to the trial site. Another challenge is the execution of parallel experiments. The problem I see that we will face is that we will have many experimenters performing experiments in parallel. Okay, so this might be a challenge for our facilities. And last but not least, from previous projects, we are struggling a little bit with the device availability. Especially in our case, we would like to see, some pre-commercial things, etc. I hope during these 2 years to have even more devices for, for a little bit more advanced cases. Okay. Last but not least, what we would like to see is the verticals to actually use the 5G system and exploit new features, not just use bandwidth and latency, but interact with the system. I mean, reprogram it or something like that. How they, I mean, we have open APIs, we have standards, how they will interact with the system.
Yes, of course, it's always a question if this is going to be the verticals themselves or some integrators that they will offer solutions. I'm not sure we can expect that they have the knowledge to, to reprogram the whole network. And one question now that you have mentioned this, you are using part of commercial operator network?
Yes.
And if yes, are you using slicing to support?
Sorry?
Are you using slicing? You have a dedicated slice to support the experiments?
From the operator side of you, there is a, yes.
Okay. So, okay, thanks. Really useful information. David?
Well, I agree with Kostas, but I think one challenge.
Sorry, it's Kostas. But I look like Kostas.
Sorry, sorry, Christos. Is the fact that if we want to perform like pilots and trials, which is a high tier level of advanced 5G features, we die in the devices right now. So we are looking forward to our next release of commercial devices, because at the moment, and even in, we know in 5G PPP projects, that has been a big issue. Another issue I see, and it hasn't been mentioned, is that at the end, we are 4 StreamD projects plus StreamC 3 projects. Actually, I did the exercise of adding up all the cascade funding, and it's 20-something million euros plus new call this year. So I think that will be a challenge to find all those third parties, or even, but as a whole, for SNS, I think personally that will be a challenge. And then, regarding this, in our case, we have in mind some advanced features. We want to expose the network, as you were just saying, and we will work on these new APIs for exposing the networks to third parties, developers, verticals. And that will be part of the consortium. I don't think the verticals themselves will be reprogramming the networks unless very easy APIs are provided to them.
Thanks, David. Silvia?
Yeah.
Silvia, can you hear me?
Yes. The most challenge aspect that we have in the project is the large scales trials, as we want to have a heterogeneous approach. A single use case that is a trial in different scenarios with different verticals and different end users. And this brings a complexity, but also an added value to test in a wide range the application and the overall scenario. And I think that this is the most challenging part, but I want to add that how we are solving this. I mean, we have defined as first a project structure that maximizes what are the commonalities of the activities. And this is done by having a dedicated team working in the same domain and using the same similar technologies. This is first from a project structure, and the incremental approach in the trials also allows to approach the large trials simplifying. I mean, because we in this incremental way we add the complexity and avoid, I mean, to have at the end something that we're not able to manage. Instead, we want to start as soon as possible some trials in smaller condition and controller condition, and then added step by step more complexity.
It's a sensible approach. And then, Janina, you are targeting to have your first call quite soon. Are you considering also the onboarding procedure from the newcomers to use your platforms? Is it going to be an easy task, you think, or is it feasible?
Of course, we think it's feasible, but yeah, we of course see that there's a challenge in setting up everything. But well, our test beds so far are more or less established. They already have all coverage and the 5G network available, and we already also have some ideas about what are the challenges when it comes to integrating the verticals. Of course, new challenges will arise, but yeah, we at least have a little bit of experience with it. One of the biggest challenges that we also see is the availability of the technology, so that we have the new network and devices and everything there. And we plan to address it with a very strong collaboration in our work package 6 with the technology evolution, because there we have the whole value chain covered. So with from the devices to the network. So there we are kind of set up and not depending on external progress.
And it's a good thing that most of the projects have some experience based on previous 5G PPP projects, and that will help a lot, I think, in the process, because you have already faced several of the challenges. Also, it would be really nice, just a personal suggestion, to see not only inside the projects the commonalities between the verticals, but also try to identify the commonalities between the projects, because you are supporting similar sectors, and at the end, as a framework, Pavlo, I don't know if you agree, it would be nice to reach out to some conclusions and some, pointing some results.
I fully agree, Alex. And here, of course, we hear about reasonable challenges, absolutely. But the challenges are the ones that bring the research forward. So this is important for the research. But at least here we have a unique opportunity, as also mentioned in my presentation, to bring all these the innovators, the verticals, very early in the process, to have the business validation of the verticals now, very early, and give extra requirements to the research afterwards, as mentioned. So for sure, I expect that this will be very beneficial for our program compared to 5G PPP, as you said, Alex. So that's for me a main message from what I hear from all speakers now. A unique opportunity to have innovators, more innovation. Yeah.
Indeed. I see a question in the chat from Tassos Gavras. Do you have measures in place to protect IPRs of experimenters? So there are going to be experiments, they are going to test things, and if I understand the question correctly, if you you will have measures to protect their IPRs of those testing the networks. Who would like to answer this?
Well, I can say something, not really answer, but during our kickoff meeting, we actually discussed that question. but then we concluded that it will be very like specific to each to this third-party experimenter that will come. So that's something we will definitely ask in the, let's say, in the submission information. And then, well, we discuss a couple of examples, and then the let's say the potential solution or the implementation of the measures to protect IPRs could be different, but most important thing is to identify it as soon as possible, and then if there is eager to test it, and it's something that can be overcome. So it shouldn't be an issue. Well, if needed, more agreements will be signed, or we'll try to include it but in case something very specific appears and there is a lot of innovation and the experimenter wants to protect it, we should be able to offer the possibility to test it without or protecting their IPR. So we discussed this already, but it's not like like a full answer. But
thank you very much. Yes, Christian?
Yes, it is a very good question, and we were discussing also these issues in the consortium, and we hopefully we will prepare a plan with all these things. It's not only IPR. What happens with the data during the experiment of these SMEs? Okay, we need to anonymize them. You know, sometimes we need maybe to publish some anonymized data for other researchers. Would you like to do that? It's security. We need to isolate them between them to properly schedule them, okay? We also need to be sure that they don't affect our facility. You know, they don't do malicious things. So there are many things open in this, but I hope, at least in our case, but I think all of the projects here, during the next few months, we will create a proper plan and make aware all of these, you know, potential experimenters. Be aware of that.
Thanks. I don't know, Janina or Sylvia, if you would like to add anything more on this. Janina?
It is something that for sure we have to define before we launch the open call, because we have to exactly report what are the expected activities on all these important topics.
Okay. And Janina?
Yeah, from our side also, we will make agreements with all the FSTP projects, and yeah, in this way protect their and our IPRs as well. So yeah, this will be also the information, or the detailed information will also be part of the open calls and afterwards. And yeah, so but there will be agreements in place.
Yeah. So plenty of challenges, but that's the fun of the game, isn't it? Pablo, we are reaching the end of the webinar. I don't know if you have any final thoughts that you would like to share.
Not in fact, but just to say that we see many common challenges, many commonalities, many things.
sure.
So the collaboration in the context of the program of the SNS program is absolutely critical for the success of all these projects. I don't speak only about Stream D, but this is I think the messages that we got from Stream C projects as well. So there are problems, challenges with onboarding, with I don't know how to bring new innovators, open calls, questions. So you see there are common questions. So it is very, very important that we start as soon as possible all these programmatic activities and the collaboration with the projects. So that's my main message from the discussion. Yeah.
Indeed. And actually, this is what we will try to do, as I was saying in the presentation, with the pre-steering board, trying to establish the communication links between all the projects. I would like to thank all the speakers from all the sessions. Thank you very much for providing all this useful information today. This is the start. There are going to be several more events where we are going to meet and collaborate together. Thank you very much. We have an interesting way ahead of us.
Certainly. Thank you very much from my side as well.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.